yesterday on BrainStormAcres.
Hi everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And today I'm going to take you someplace that we've never taken you before. Under here we have another whole stack of food safe buckets. And I want to tell you the story about these buckets. So these are food safe buckets. And this special lid that's on top is called a gamma lid. And it has a snap-on edge to it that snaps on like any regular paint lid would. And then you just screw this in and it's got a gasket that makes it airtight, that little white stripe there. And you can also get anti-oxygen and anti-moisture devices to throw in here. Now, we had been planning to get some of these for a while. The reason we were looking for them is we have a bunch of food safe containers. There's a small one here. This holds 8 quarts. Yeah, 8 quarts. And they're food safe, they're plastic, you know, disinfect them, blah, blah, blah. 2 issues with them. One is that eventually they do get scratched. Once these things are really scratched up on the inside, it's really hard to get them disinfected well enough. We're at high altitudes, so eventually the UV gets them. We used to buy these at a couple of different big box stores, and most of the time they're not selling them anymore. So we had planned to go online and get a bunch of the big 5-gallon buckets and then buy the gamma lids. And we'd found someplace online, and I want to say the gamma lids were running about 20 bucks a piece. And they wanted, I forget how much for the food grade containers. And then there was shipping. And I happened to go down to, and I get nothing from these people whatsoever, but I happened to go down to Home Depot for some bits and pieces to do a project. Something made me look in the paint department, because I was talking to Henry and I said, you know, I wonder if the white buckets that they sell in the paint department are food grade. It'll always say on a bucket if it's food grade or not. And I see people doing things like brewing an orange buckets from Home Depot, and it makes me cringe because those were never intended to be food grade buckets. Are they safe? I don't know, but I'm sorry. I don't want to put anything in my food. You know, I'm making an effort. I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to save food in a healthy manner. The last thing I want to do is use something that might have a dye or some other chemical that comes out. I checked their paint department, and I found these here at a very reasonable price with no shipping because they were there. And not only did they have those, they had the gamma lids. Now, I don't know that these were actually the, let's see, these are called leak tight. So these are from Leominster, Massachusetts, which is near where we used to live in Massachusetts at one point. So these are both made by the same company, and they work great. So I texted Henry and said, look what I found. And he said, buy some. And I did. I spent quite a bit of money that day. But it was one less thing that we had to worry about at a time frame when getting these kind of things can be sometimes a little difficult. But check your Home Depot. Check your Lowe's. I don't know if Lowe's has them or not. But if they are food safe, it will say on it. Don't just assume because it's a plastic bucket. This says food grade container. Safe for use with food. Wash prior to use. And then it gives the usual don't drown your babies in the bucket thing. But these are great. So what do we do with something that big? You see those? They came in out of the truck, and I haven't had time to put them into a bucket yet. But they're going to go into that bucket. That's 75 pounds worth of flour. The top one is regular unbleached, regular bleached flour, which is something we don't usually use, but to be honest, right now I can't get what I like to use. And then the bottom ones are bread and pizza dough flour. Oh yeah, and then there's the 10-pound bags of sugar. I normally buy the 25-pound bag of sugar, but for some strange reason, when I went to buy sugar this last time, it was cheaper to buy it in 10-pound bags. So I said, okay, I'll buy 3 10-pound bags. It was easier to carry in, I'll say that much. Underneath the sink, in the corner, we have buckets, carefully marked. Rice, sugar, and this one is bread flour. Now, usually also what I have is I have some intermediate size. There's also wine and some cider and some other things back in there, but that's different. Here's an example. This is sugar. I have a sugar container in the kitchen. Actually, I have 2. I have one that's used for if somebody comes to visit and wants sugar in their tea or coffee, and then I have another one that's used for baking. Because we're preserving right now, we're getting in and out more sugar than usual. So I have an intermediate size container like this. When I need an extra 2 or 3 cups of sugar, I can get this out. I don't have to go for a 5-pound bucket. Some people prefer to go straight to the 5-pound bucket. I don't. I also have an intermediate size on the bread flour, that top one there. Now, I'd like to mention something that I did here. Okay. Bread flour, 420. It's got all the codes that were on the original bag, and it's got the expiration date for that original bag. Now, why would I do that? Very simple. The word is recall. We have never had a problem with a recall from these kind of things, but it does happen. I do the same thing with Jack's food. It has the variety. He fell in love with this stuff, so I don't argue with him. It's got the best of use by date, and it's got all the codes associated with the manufacturing. So that if suddenly there was a problem with a type of dog food or cat food, we'd know what lot we had and whether it was safe or whether we needed to return it. We also stockpile things like seltzer water. We catch soda on sale for Henry. And then we have the usual things. There's a giant canning kettle down there. Extra raisin bran. A giant crock for making pickles or sauerkraut. You know, the usual thing that most people would have in their pantry. Washer and dryer. And then the additional equipment. Now, as I said, this pantry is in progress right now. So this naked wall over here is going to have a lot of things happen to it in the next 6 months. We have thermal drapes on order because this is a solar passive house, which means in the summertime, you get light in through the window here, but you don't get sun. But in the wintertime, it gets really sunny. And that's great if you're trying to warm up the house, but you really don't necessarily want to warm up your food storage. So that's a bad thing. This naked shelf spot up here is going to become shelves just like this because I need more storage for plastic containers. I have right now a couple sitting in the hall, and like underneath that bread container is another empty one. That one that's labeled flour over there is empty. Things like that. I want to be able to put them right up there. So when I need them, I can grab them easily, but otherwise they're out of the way. Canning kettles, stock pots, canning jars that are empty. That's what's in here. As you see, we've managed to score a few extra canning jars recently, which is a good thing because we were running really low. Now, we've been canning a lot, but where is it? Well, the older stuff is in here. That's where it lives, and that's where it gets pulled from. The beans and things right here. Let's see, this gooey stuff here is a split pea soup, actually, because we do can meat and vegetable things with meat in them. But under here, right next to the kitty box, these are all the new canned goods for this year. And you'll notice most of them don't have any rings on them. That's a safety factor. It'll be very obvious if they don't have rings, whether they're good or not. I'm not worried about this down here. The ones that have rings down here are actually jalapeno jelly. So they're actually a jelly, and I'm not worried about whether the rings pop on those or not. But yep, this is full. I mean, literally full. And stacked too deep, and full back here too. So this is this year's new stuff. And as you can see, I'm kind of out of space. I'm going to be mushing some more things around in here in the next week or so. I am happy. So I hope you enjoyed our crazy little tour. If you have questions about anything you saw, like out of the corner of your eye, what's that thing up there? Don't hesitate to ask. There's no contraband in here. Not unless you consider dried beans and empty boxes. Yes, there are empty boxes up top that go with the canning jars, because when the canning jars get emptied, they go back in the boxes for storage. I can safely store a lot of canning jars in boxes that they came in without them getting cracked or damaged. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And like I say, don't hesitate to ask if you have questions. We are still in process, and I'm going to be fine-tuning a bunch of things here, but it's coming along. It's coming along. It's been in use for about 12 years, maybe 13 years. And we've gradually added. When I first built it, it was just this set of shelves over here. Then Henry scored the cabinets at the dump. This past year, we put in this new set of wire shelves and a set of wire shelves over the freezer. And we're going to put in another set up there. I thought about building them from scratch again, because I really do enjoy building cabinets and shelves and stuff. You could make them exactly the size you want and all the details, but honestly, wood is quite expensive right now, and I can go down to a big box store, buy all the parts, and have it put together and on the wall and functional in less than a day. I'm good with a saw, but the fact is you still have to, rip the wood, sand it, prime it, fine tune it, do this, do that, do the other thing. And no matter how fast you are, it's still going to take a lot longer than if I buy the wire shelves. And I don't need this for heavy stuff. I just need it for light, fluffy stuff that I need access to. So, hope you find this interesting. Have a great week. And until next time, bye.